Haley's exit, it is now all but certain that the November election will be a 2020 rematch. Presidents Biden and Trump facing off again. Polls, however, suggest many Americans want another option. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. hopes to be that choice. The Kennedy campaign now seeking November ballot access across the country. Here in California, that effort involves gathering signatures for a new political party called We the People.
Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joins us live right now from his L.A. home with more. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you again, Alex. Good to see you, Marla.
So talk to us about how this would work. What are the logistics involved in making this happen, and what will this new party be all about?
We will be on the ballot in all 50 states, but our strategy for getting on the ballot differs state by state. And in 6 states, we are starting our own political party because that's the easiest way to get on the ballot. California is one of those. The party is called We the People. We need 75,000 Californians to change their registration between now and June to our new party. They can do that by going to our website, kennedy24.com/California. And it will tell you, you should have your driver's license there because you need the same address that is on your driver's license. But it's a couple of steps, but anybody can do it. And we're really starting that ballot drive today.
Well, congratulations on launching that effort, sir. Now, you yourself have said that Democrats are afraid that you're going to spoil the election for President Biden, and Republicans saying the very same thing, that you will spoil it for President Trump. What do you say to that?
You know, what we saw during the primaries yesterday was one of the lowest turnouts in history. And what we see about my campaign is that people are coming out who haven't voted for years. Politico actually did an analysis of our fundraising that showed that most of the people who've given to my campaign are people who've never participated in the political system. So, you know, and when we do our rallies, when we do these events around the country, so many of our people are coming out to us and say, we lost faith in the political process. We do not, 70% of Americans now say they do not want this rematch of 2020. They do not want to see a rematch between President Trump and President Biden. And they want an alternative. People are tired of being told that they have to choose between the lesser of two evils. They want to choose, have a choice that inspires them, a choice that of somebody that they like, that they want to vote for, and who's actually talking about the issues that affect our country now, particularly the chronic disease epidemic that is debilitating our country. 60% of our kids now have chronic disease. Our entire generation of kids, and nobody's talking about this stuff, can't get into a home. They're not, you know, our children are not going to be able to pursue that central promise of the American dream, which when I was growing up, it was understood if you worked hard, if you played by the rules, you could own a home, you could finance it, you could pay for your summer vacation, you could raise a family, and you could put something aside for retirement. There's nobody in the 20 to 30 generation that believes that that promise applies to them. And, you know, I want to change that. And none of the other political leaders, they're part of the generation that created this problem, that loaded these kids with $34 trillion in debt, loaded them with the processed foods, with the contaminants that are causing this terrible chronic disease epidemic, and have embroiled them in the forever wars. And they need, you know, they want a president who will unravel a corruption, this corrupt merger of state and corporate power, and return public health in this country and end the wars.
And the numbers of young people that turned out for the election in California yesterday was astoundingly low. And many of them are looking for an alternative. Let's look at your poll numbers right now in a matchup between Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and you. You're polling at 15%, and a lot of the mainstream media, frankly, has ignored you and not given you interviews like we're doing right now. And you're doing that, a lot of that, through just grassroots online work. which is pretty astounding. It shows that there is an appetite for you, but there are also folks that will see that and say, you know, could you live with yourself if this election, if Donald Trump ends up winning because of your impact on it? And that means that Donald Trump becomes the president.
The polls actually, the polls consistently show me beating President Trump and President Biden among young people. They show, and the poll you just showed us, those polls are assuming that young people don't vote.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is that there's tremendous amounts of young people who want to come out and vote if I'm the candidate. The polls consistently show me beating both President Trump and President Biden among independents. And independents this year are, for the first time in history, the first presidential election in history, are the largest cohort. So there are 52% of Americans are now call themselves, self-identify as independents, versus about 25% Republicans and Democrats. So I feel like I have an ability. The one in group that I'm in a three-way tie among Hispanic voters. What the polls show is that I draw pretty much evenly from both President Trump and President Biden. I'm at this point drawing a little more from President Trump, so President Biden does not need my help to lose the election to President Trump. In fact, it's more likely that my participation may help him. But I think I'm going to bring out a lot of new people to vote, and that President Trump is going to get his voters. President Biden is going to get his, but I think I'm going to be able to beat them.
Well, first and foremost is to get your name on the ballot in California. And to do that, you need 75,000 Californians to sign up on your website. So we're out of time, unfortunately, but we appreciate you taking the time to be with us live tonight on the Fox 11 News at 6. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., thank you so much.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you, Alex.